بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. So, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We would like to invite everybody, brothers and sisters, incoming freshmen, transfer students, people who have been here to the first MSA event of the semester. You guys pretty much all know who Allah is. That's not a question, right? The reason I chose the title is because it's interesting and it brings people. That's why I chose the title. But we are going to talk about Allah. So I'm going to ask, like I promised the sisters first, I want you guys to answer the question for me. Who is Allah? You don't have to raise your hand. If you want to raise your hand, if you want to just scream it out, if you want to, whatever you want. Whatever you want. Our Lord. Okay, something else. What else? Nothing else. No one wants to speak yet. Okay, brothers, who is Allah? Rabbil Alameen, Lord of the world. What else? Creator, good. What else? Sustainer, what else? These are names. Okay, so we have names. Creator, sustainer, Lord, these are names. Move on. Move on. What else? How else can you describe who is Allah? Think. Most merciful, yes. This is a name. What else do we have? What is it? The one that we worship. Yes, that is perfect. That is correct. That is another way that you can answer the question. And there's only one more way. What is the last way that you can answer the question? Go ahead. Oh, I thought you had an answer. The only one we worship. That's correct. That's a more complete statement than what she said. But there's still one other way. What is it?
The one who will judgment on us?
Okay, so Lord of the Day of Judgment. Okay, good. So those are the three ways to answer the question. Perfect. Now, I want to ask another question. What is Tawheed? Sisters first. Tawheed. 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 No one? Okay, brothers, what is Tawheed? Anyone? Okay, Tawheed comes from the word wahid, which is one. Yes, so Tawheed is the oneness and uniqueness of Allah. That is correct. Now, Tawheed is split into three categories. Okay, so when I asked you guys who is Allah, you answered with every single category. So what's the first category? We just went over. So we said Creator, we said the most merciful. So what are those called? Those are called, yes, names. Okay, so these are the names of Allah. So you have names and attributes. So it's broken up into three categories. Three categories. The first one is names and attributes. Okay, what is the second one? One of the sisters said it. She said that He's the one that we worship. Right? Okay, so this is the second category, that Allah is the only one that we worship without any partners. And the third one, what did you say, Iman? Yes, so He is the Master of the Day of Judgment, and this is His Lordship. So this is the Lordship of Allah. So we're going to break down each category one by one, okay? Now the first one, names and attributes. So we already mentioned some of the names of Allah. We're going to mention some of His attributes. Okay, does anyone know any attributes of Allah that they would like to share? Anyone? What is it? Most merciful. Most merciful is correct, but it's a name. So the attributes are as follows. I can stand? Go ahead. Mercy, yes. Mercy is from the name. I'm good? Okay. So the attributes are as follows. So we have the names of Allah, right? Uniqueness, oneness, no one can share any of these names. Now the attributes are what Allah described Himself with as having. So for example, two hands. So Allah has two hands. Allah has eyes. Allah has a foot. Right? These are His attributes. Allah has a face. These are His attributes. Now specifically for the first category of Tawheed, for Tawheed Asma' and Sifat, which is names and attributes, there are four things that you are not allowed to do. Okay, so number one, you are not allowed to liken Allah's names and attributes to anyone. So just because I have two hands, I cannot liken His hands to my hands. Right? My face to His face, my foot to His foot, our eyes. These things cannot be likened. He is unique and alone in all of His attributes. The second thing that you can't do is you can't deny them. Okay, you can't say that, oh, Allah doesn't have hands, He's too perfect for that. You're not allowed to deny them because He has told us that He has hands. The third thing that you're not allowed to do is you are not allowed to change them. So you're not allowed to in any way change the attributes of Allah. Okay, you cannot add something or decrease from something. Okay, it's clear? Everybody has it? Are you sure? This is very important, guys. This is very, very important. Please, I know it doesn't sound important. We're going to explain why it's important. But it's clear? Yes? Okay, the second part is tawheed of worship. Okay, so we worship Allah alone, without any partners. Sah? Okay, so what does La ilaha illallah mean? Say, there is no God but Allah. Okay, that is the word-by-word translation, but it's incomplete. It's incomplete. The reason it's incomplete is because in Arabic, go ahead. Naam, yes. In Arabic, that's correct. That is 100% correct. So in English, what it means is there is no God worthy of worship except Allah. Okay, because what the statement must do, it must do two things. It must negate and affirm. Okay, so if I tell Sam, can you stand up? Okay, so if I say Sam is standing, I have affirmed that he is standing, but I have not negated that anyone else is standing with him. So there can be someone else standing with him. Now sit down, please. And then if I say no one is standing, I'm just negating the fact that anyone can stand. Okay, so that's why the most accurate way to say it is there is no God worthy of worship except Allah. Okay, so the first part negates any kind of lordship, and then the second part affirms that this right is only for who? For Allah. Excellent. Now the third category is lordship. Okay, so you mentioned the Day of Judgment, but I want more examples. I want you guys to think harder and give me more examples of His lordship. Please. You guys all know Ayatul Kursi? Yes. Sah? Okay. One of the reasons that it's the greatest ayah is because inside one ayah, it's all three categories. Okay, so you have the names, you have names and attributes, you have that He's the only one worthy of worship, and you have His lordship. Okay, so you guys recite it to yourself and then tell me. Please. Should we do it together? Yeah. Okay, someone start first. How does it start? One of the brothers. Allahu la ilaha illa huwa. So what is this? Allahu la ilaha illa huwa. What did we just say that is? There is no God worthy of worship except Allah. Sah? So that's it. That's one category done. Al-Hayy al-Qayyum. These are what? Names. So that's the second category done. Okay? What's after that? لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم. This is something that we have. What is after that? Good. What is it? Say it louder. له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض. What does that mean? Sisters, you guys speak Arabic. What does that mean? له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض. No, له. Yes, say it. Naam? Yes. So He owns, right? To Him belongs everything that is in the heavens and on earth. Okay? What else is there? There's more examples. Sah? There's more examples. He owns the east and the west. Sah? The Mashriq wal Maghrib. Okay, so these are examples of His lordship. Okay, these are not names. This is just His lordship. He's the creator of everything, the sustainer of everything. Sah? He owns everything. Everything is in His domain. Okay? Clear? The three categories are clear, 100%. I will ask you about it later. Okay? Good. Now, there are three categories, but one of them is the most important category. Okay? Take a guess. What is the most important category out of the three categories? So we're going to say them one more time. Names and attributes, that He's the only one worthy of worship, right? Alone, unique, without any partners, and His Lordship. So what is the most important out of those three? Come on. Okay. So, alright, first I didn't even say the names. So you have Tawheed Asma wa Sifat, we did that. The second one for His worship is called Tawheed Uluhiyya. And then the third one for His Lordship is Tawheed Rububiyyah. So you guys, I'm sure you guys know this, but so the most important one by far is Tawheed Uluhiyya. Okay, for His worship. Tawheed Uluhiyya. This is because there's many reasons, but for example, one reason is that Allah Himself describes Himself in the Quran with Tawheed Uluhiyya. Okay, so in Surah Taha, when He speaks to Musa, what does He say? That's fine. He says, Inni ana Allahu la ilaha illa ana. Fa'budni wa aqim as-salah li dhikri. Right? So this is Tawheed Uluhiyya. So this is how He describes Himself. Okay? And from Tawheed Uluhiyya, you get the other two categories of Tawheed. They branch from it. Okay? Because you're not going to worship someone unless he has these things. Okay? This is why Allah is worthy of worship, because of these two other categories. Okay, Tawheed Uluhiyya is just worship. It doesn't describe anything except that He's the only one worthy of worship. So the reason He has this right is because of the other two categories. Because of the names and attributes, and because of His Lordship. Okay? Now, there is no one that can have Tawheed Uluhiyya without having the other two. It is impossible. It is impossible because there is no one who prays and fasts and does all the things, but then he denies the names of Allah. Right? It's impossible, unheard of. But there are many people who don't deny the names of Allah and don't deny His Lordship, but they don't worship Him. For example, when Muhammad when he became the Prophet and Messenger, right? The things that he had to deal with is that, because there at the time, Quraysh, they were not disbelievers of Allah. They believed in Allah, right? They believed in His names and they believed in His Lordship. But their problem was that they took partners with Allah. They took partners with Allah, and this is generally the tradition of most of the people that the messengers were sent to. They never really denied that Allah exists. They just kept taking partners with Allah. Right? This is kind of a new thing that exists now in our age, that someone just denies Allah altogether, saying there is no God. It's very new. Okay, but the issue is taking partners with Allah. Right? And the reason that the messengers were sent is for Tawheed Uluhiyya. Okay, they were sent, Nuh is the first messenger, صح? So he was sent because his people were not worshipping Allah alone without partners. Not because they didn't know who Allah was. He didn't teach them who Allah was, but He came to correct the worship. Okay, so this is by far the most important category of Tawheed. But obviously, if anyone is missing from any of the three, then he's not a Muslim. صح? You have to affirm, right? You have to believe with no doubt whatsoever that Allah is all the things that He describes Himself as. So you have to believe that He's the Creator and He's the most merciful. You have to believe that He has a face. You have to believe that He owns everything and everything is in His domain. Okay? However, those things strengthen your worship, which is why we have them. Okay? Those are just beliefs. Anyone can believe anything. You haven't taken any action yet except believing. The most important thing is worship. Okay? This is the most important thing by far, is to actually take the action and worship Allah. Okay? Now, this is who is Allah. This is what is Tawheed. Okay? Who is Allah it can go many different directions, but I want to focus on Tawheed. I want to focus on Tawheed because the foundation of our religion is Tawheed. Okay? We were created only to worship. So the foundation of the entire religion is Tawheed. Singling out Allah in worship. Singling out Allah in worship. In all kinds of worship. Sah? Now, there are people, because I said before that you cannot have Tawheed Uluhiyya, meaning worship, and then not have the other two. The only cases where this exists is only in misunderstandings. So for example, some people believe that Allah has no image. right? They're not denying anything, they just have a misunderstanding of the religion. So it doesn't take anything away from his worship, right? It doesn't take anything away from the weight of worshiping him without partners. Okay? It's clear? Now, why is Tawheed important? Well, we just said because it's the foundation of the religion. Now, Tawheed is not something so simple that we can just grasp in one lecture, or 2 lectures, or 1,000 lectures. Okay? Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam taught Tawheed for 10 years in Mecca. 10 whole years, teaching everyone that Allah is the only one worthy of worship. That Allah is the only one worthy of worship. It sounds very basic. It sounds very basic. But this is the difference between someone who's a strong believer and a weak believer. Okay, these are the differences. Actually believing. None of us deny that Allah sees us. Sah? None of us deny it. Every single one here knows that Allah sees him always. Always. But the difference between us, for example, and companions, Radwanullah alayhim, is that they believed it stronger than we did. Okay, so they believe everything that they need to believe about Allah stronger than we do. Okay? Now, without Tawheed, it is impossible for anyone to be upright. It has to be pumping. It has to be pumping in your heart. It has to be pumping. Okay? Part of it branches out into everything. It branches out into the entire religion. Because there's no way that you can actually pray and want to pray if you don't love Allah. If you don't know anything about Allah. Then you're just a robot. There's no way that you want to actually do these things if you don't know anything about Allah. Okay? Now, the way that you increase your belief in these things, okay? Now, we were talking about Tawheed Uluhiyyah. So, worship. We're saying worship is the most important. So there's 2 conditions. These are the only 2 conditions that exist and that will ever exist until the Day of Judgment. There's only 2 conditions for our worship, an act of worship, a form of worship to be accepted. Only 2 conditions. I need you to tell me what they are. I need you to tell me what they are. I'm not going to give this to you. There's only 2 conditions for any act of worship to be accepted. Only 2. What are they? Sisters first. You can probably just guess and get the first one right. Since we're talking about worshiping Allah alone without partners, the first condition is going to be... Na'am? Yes, okay, so the first condition obviously is sincerity. Okay? Whatever act of worship you have to do, you have to be doing it only for the sake of Allah. So if I go right now and I pray, and I'm trying to impress all of you, it's not going to be accepted because I'm not doing it for the sake of Allah. That is the first condition. What is the second condition? Brothers can answer. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So the second condition is following the example of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, because everything that we do, every single act of worship that we do, comes straight from him. Because he's the messenger of Allah, so he knows what Allah will accept and what Allah will not accept. So everything that he did, Allah will accept it from us. Clear? So it has to come from who? Say it, it has to come from who? Say it louder. Okay, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, very good.